Before Dan launched into the controversial chat, it was clear his fellow BBC Breakfast presenter was reluctant for him to go ahead with what he was about to say. Prior to a segment on a polar bear cub, Louise, 49, stated, "I've been slightly nervous about this story all morning. You'll see why." After the pair discussed the news item, the subject turned to how to identify whether a polar bear is female or male. Dan, 41, said, "At 5 o'clock this morning I was researching how you sex a polar bear. Now, there is a level of detail I'm not sure if I can go into at this time of the morning, but essentially, there is a lot of fur in the area where you would need to investigate, so therefore it is hard to find out whether it's male or female." Louise then interjected, "I might go into hibernation while you carry on." Dan continued, "A very long, hairy area, I believe is the correct term, but, wait for it, a slightly more reliable, but still visual way to determine the sex of a polar bear is to watch it urinate." Exasperated, Louise questioned, "Why does he do it? It's important. You can share this information." Dan exclaimed. Those watching at home couldn't believe what they had heard and took to Twitter to comment. Some thought it was a bit too much, as one wrote, at mid-on Walker, "Did you just say, very long hairy area?" Live on at BBC Breakfast when discussing the gender of a baby polar bear. By the moment, one declared, "The discussion about the polar bears at BBC Breakfast was so funny. Very long hairy area. Hilarious. Long hairy area is perhaps the best thing that Dan has ever said on at BBC Breakfast. He is so rogue and I love it." 12/10, a second added. BBC Breakfast airs weekdays at 6 a.m. on BBC One. Did at mid-on Walker really just talk about a hairy area on at BBC Breakfast? Too early, another added. Meanwhile, others were completely tickled by the moment. One declared, "The discussion about the polar bears at BBC Breakfast was so funny. Very long hairy area. Hilarious. Long hairy area is perhaps the best thing that Dan has ever said on at BBC Breakfast. He is so rogue and I love it." 12/10, a second added. BBC Breakfast airs weekdays at 6 a.m. on BBC One.